we are living very near the threshold of heaven. And as the Bible reveals to us, there is always trouble in our world, big or small, here and there. But there it says the toughest time must be the biggest trouble. Daniel chapter 12 verse 1 tells us about the future. You can see here, it says about a time of trouble. The trouble is not a small one, it's a big one. And there it says, at that time, Michael shall stand up, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. So this is the worst of all the troubles that we can find in our world. So this is the ultimate one that we are looking forward to. We know that our world now has a lot of problems, but I think this is going to be worse than that. Now, verse 3 says, those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. So, when we see trouble, those who are wise, they will be like stars shining someday, okay? And if you turn people to righteousness, then you will also be like a star shining. And this is what we are doing. While the world is going crazy, we are doing something different. And we have a church family to raise. We have little ones to help, to turn them to the Lord. While the church has its own system, its own way of doing things, we do something rather different. And in order to be tougher than the tough, the time ahead of us is going to be very tough. But in order to be tougher than the tough, the book of Daniel gives us at least 3 things in the book of Daniel to help us to learn something and how we can follow and do the same. That we will be tough and even tougher than the tough. The first thing is identity consciousness. Identity consciousness is so important. And many times, we are lost. We do not know exactly who we are in a world that's going crazy. So we should ask some questions. Am I conscious of who I am? Do you know who you are? Am I happy that I am a Seventh-day Adventist? We're coming to the end of the world. Do you still believe it's good to be a Seventh-day Adventist? Do you still believe? Are you happy to be a Seventh-day Adventist? Am I thankful to God for the truth He has given me? As Seventh-day Adventists, we have a lot of good things from the Word of God. And out there in the world, many they don't have. Are we thankful for what we have been blessed? Do I truly value the truth I have received? Or do I take what God has blessed me lightly? Many are groping in the dark. We have the light. Are we happy with the light that we receive? Do we value our identity as Seventh-day Adventists, living in the last days as the remnant, and raising family to be remnant. Daniel 1, verse 8, here it says, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with a portion of the king's delicacies, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself." So here, in this one verse, you can see that Daniel, he is very conscious. He's conscious of his identity. That's why he doesn't want to defile himself. He knows that what the king is doing, what the king is drinking, eating, is not good for him. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that. That is not what he should be doing. And so here it says that Daniel purposed in his heart. So Daniel is using his frontal lobe here. He knows what is going on, and he is making a very determined decision. He purposed in his frontal lobe here. He's thinking, reasoning in a very creative way. And because of this creative way, he comes out with something else. And here it says, because of that thinking, the creativity of the frontal lobe, he comes out with this idea and he requested. And it's not just thinking alone. Thinking alone and doing nothing is useless. You can have a lot of knowledge up here, a lot of understanding up here, but if you are not doing anything, your life remains the same. So his mind, the 5% of the activities of the mind, here the frontal lobe, has made the decision to make a request, and he went to talk. And this is important because he knows his identity. And I presume there should be more than 4 young Jewish people. There should be more than 4. Because when King Nebuchadnezzar went to capture the people in Babylon, he brought back many captives. It cannot be just 4. There should be more. But the Bible in the book of Daniel tells us about only these 4. But many, I presume many, they were also given the same thing. But they did not realize. And they just follow the crowd, move along with the crowd. And they ate, they drank. But not for Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They choose not to. Because they have the consciousness of their identity. And as Seventh-day Adventists, we must have this consciousness. And in order to really cherish this, we must be happy with who we are. If you're not happy with who you are, and you're not thankful with what God has given to you, and you don't value that, then you live your Christian life in a very, very free and easygoing way. So the first thing we need, in order to have a Christian life that is tougher than the tough, we need to have this. This is identity consciousness. And the second thing that we should have, because our brain, apart from having the frontal lobe, we have the hindbrain. Okay? And this is where we have what I call the subconscious mind. And actually more of the things we do in life, they are all the activities of the subconscious than the conscious. At least 90% is the subconscious. Now, in life, we do many things habitually using our subconscious mind. For example, how did you wear your shirt or blouse this morning? How did you wear your shirt? Did you sit down and try to crack your head and decide, or should I put in my right hand first or my left hand first? Do you sit down and start to decide which hand should go in first? Or you took your shirt and you dress up? Which is the right thing that I'm saying? You took your shirt without even thinking, you put on, or you have to use a frontal lobe and you think, I must decide first which hand to go in first. No such thing, right? Why? Because you have been doing that again and again. And what we call repetition is very important. Because a child can absorb very quickly the things that are being taught straight to the subconscious. It goes straight to the subconscious. And after the age of 6, then the frontal lobe becomes more active. And that's how it will start to block and start to do certain things. So learning will slow down a little bit. So the only way to bring things from the conscious to the subconscious is to do what we call repetitive action. So every day you're wearing shirt, right hand first, right hand first, right hand first. After years, you don't even think. It goes to your subconscious. The same thing with how you drive your car. How did you drive your car to church this morning? Did you have a hard time trying to change your gear, or if it's auto, trying to do some other thing to make the car stable and move in the right direction? If you have been driving for 30 days, okay, if you do the same thing over and over again for 30 days, it goes from the conscious to the subconscious. It becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, you can drive your car with one hand and turn around here and there and talk to people. But when you are driving the car for the first day and the first time, you cannot do that. Because there's nothing in your subconscious mind. You need to focus. You need to use your frontal lobe to think, to see. And why is that so difficult? Because our hindbrain, the subconscious, is many, many times more powerful than the forebrain, the frontal lobe here. It's many times more powerful. That's why it has greater power, it works faster. So in order to be able to be a Christian automatically, a strong, tough Christian automatically, you need to form some habits that will help you in your Christian walk with God, so that you'll be disciplined. So you need to do over and over again certain things, like having memory verses, to keep the verses in your heart, to have your morning watch, to have time to pray, and to have some time to serve God. This must be a form of your lifestyle habitually, and so much so that you don't even think. It's at the back of your brain. You know what to do and how to do automatically. It is going autopilot. Daniel 6 verse 10. So this is in the book of Daniel. Here it says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, you know this story, right? So they wanted to stop Daniel from doing what is right. So they didn't want him to spend time praying. And then it says, but even though knowing it, he went home. And then it says, and in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down 3 times that day. And that was not the only day. He must have done that many, many days. Every day, he must have been doing that. And so he says, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as was his custom. Custom. That means he was accustomed to doing that. Since when? Since early days. So when you want to raise a child in the fear of the Lord, start while the child is young. Train a child to walk in the way of the Lord, and he will not depart from it, because it becomes automatic. And the third is obedience of faith. When I say obedience of faith, what does it mean? It means the faith that produces obedience. It is the obedience that comes out from faith. That kind of obedience. Not the obedience that comes out of fear, but it comes out of faith. As a result of seeing and trusting God so much that you have this obedience that is coming out from faith, from your faith in God. You obey because you have seen the trustworthy of God, the trustworthiness of God. And after seeing God being trustworthy again and again, and now God is silent, and God is testing you, like what he was testing Abraham. So Abraham exercised that faith that produced obedience. And this is important. This is the kind of faith that the remnant should have. If you read Revelation chapter 14, verse 12, it says the faith of Jesus. It is not the faith in Jesus, but the faith of Jesus, the faith that belongs to Jesus. What kind of faith did Jesus have? And he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he prayed saying, "Thy will be done. Thy will be done." He was having tremendous faith in God to leave everything, the result, everything in the hands of God. That kind of faith. And that kind of obedience coming out from that kind of faith. And this is what the remnant should have. The faith that produces obedience. Not a faith that doesn't, produce anything. There's no fruit at all. Daniel 3 verses 19 and 20. Here it says, "Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury." So Nebuchadnezzar was so angry because 3 young men did not bow down to the image. 3 young men. So here it says, he spoke and commanded that they hit the furnace 7 times. This is a tough dictator. A tough dictator. And he heated up the furnace 7 times. It's crazy. There's no need to make it that hot. It was hot enough even to burn anybody. But yet he was not happy. He was challenging to prove himself even tougher. And then he commanded certain mighty men to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. So you know what happened? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said to the king. Why was the king so angry? Because he found that these three men, they were very tough. So he was trying to be tougher than them. And then these three men said, Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need. You're wasting your time. Whatever happens is okay. We have faith in our God. We obey. We cannot bow down. It's against the 10 Commandments. We will not worship any idol. So they say, there's no need. Therefore, there's no need to answer you in this matter. Our God whom we serve is able. You see, that kind of faith. Our God is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, this is hard to swallow. If not, let it be known to you. And they were trying to tell the king, there's something we want you to know. Please know this, and don't waste your time. Let it be known to you that we do not serve your gods. Sorry, period. We do not serve your gods. And nothing is going to change us, no matter how many times you heat up the furnace. Nor will we worship the gold image. Daniel 3:16-18. And this is very much needed. The book of Daniel gives us models for us to imitate, to do likewise, that we may find and learn and find courage, boldness. I remember when I was asked to join the team to go and visit, go and pay what's called the last respects to the king of Thailand, the old king's mother. So our mission gathered all the pastors, all the teachers, the principals, the publishing manager. We had about 30 plus 40 people. We went there, and we were not the only one. There were other groups. And when we went there, the first building there, and you could see that there's a very long table, all stretched as long as from here till the end, up some maybe close to the road there. And then with a long cloth, and everyone batch by batch would go up and sign the name. I said, that's easy, just sign a name. But then I found out that's not all. You still have to move on to the next building. Then I started to question, and I talked to some of them. I talked to my elder and to the church school principal, and also to the to one pastor. See, what if they want us to bow down and pray, not to the idol? I say, no, don't worry. Wait and see. We just wait and see. But in my heart, I was not feeling comfortable. I actually didn't want to go. But when we moved to the next building, another group came in. I could not reverse, could not. Just that group was pushing us already, batch by batch going in. And while we were waiting there, and we could see down below, the group that was before us, all seated, and the coffin was just before them, and the monk was chanting, and bow, and all bow. And then chanting, bow, all bow. Again chanting, bow, all bow. Then it came to our turn. Wow. Should I bow? Should I not bow? Should I bow? Should I not bow? If I bow one time, it's okay. That's showing respect, But if I bow 3 times, no way. That is worship. I would not do that. So I decided not to. But then the soldiers all around, everywhere. Like they're looking. So we all sat down, and then the monk chant, bow, or bow. And then my elder was sitting next, not to me, and he like that, his head. He dare not bow, his head, just like that. And then the rest, pastors or so and so, all, even the mission secretary, all bow home. Should I bow? Should I not bow? But I was fearful too. And I prayed. I said, God, maybe show me how. And then I look up. Wow, so beautiful up there, the ceiling. So I look up. Again, second time, bow. So I look up again. Third time, bow, and I look up again. And then my heart was pumping already. I said, if I walk out, the soldiers might grab me. So I walk close with the rest. And when we walk out, nothing happened. I was able to walk out safely. But that was an experience. That was an experience. Are we willing to leave the result in the hands of God? Our destiny is in God's hand. Trust Him. And that is important. These are the three things that will help us to be the remnant, to be tougher than the tough at a time when the world is in chaos and trouble is everywhere. May the Lord bless each and every one of us.